This is Late Night Health. This is the radio show that cares about the most important part of your life, your health. During the next hour, the insane Daryl Wayne and I'm Mark Alyn, we're going to explore a couple of issues that touch most people throughout the United States and even throughout the world. We're going to end our program today talking about grief, and we're also going to take a look at bipolar disorder and how some people can be super creative, yet really impossible to live with. We're going to begin our show today with Marci Hopkins, who is the host and creator of Wake Up with Marci. It's a talk show of inspiration. And we're going to talk about her journey as an actor, a speaker, a program host and producer, and how she has fought addiction in her life. Marci Hopkins, welcome to Late Night Health.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you.
When did you decide, or when was it pointed out to you, that you might have a problem with alcohol?
Well, probably about 6 years ago, because I just celebrated 5 years of sobriety. My husband came to me, and he was asking me in the nicest way to get healthy. But his intention was for me to slow down on my drinking. And I was continuing life. I was hiding it pretty well. And honestly, I didn't think too many people knew that I was drinking to the point that I was. So it was more of my husband bringing it to my attention.
Did you use alcohol as a coping mechanism? It relaxed you, or so you thought?
Yes. So I've had a long history of using alcohol as a coping mechanism. I had a lot of hardships in my younger years. I was sexually abused around 12. That's when it started, and I found alcohol. And, you know, it really helped me through that time. And I also used it throughout my life. So if it was a difficult time, I would use alcohol. My alcohol consumption would get elevated. But it was really towards the end that it got bad because I chose to get in front of the camera later in life. And I was being judged all of the time through auditions and such, and whether I was going to get the job or not. And I actually had absolutely no self-esteem. And I started using alcohol to give myself liquid courage to go into the audition room. And then I would use it after to either celebrate what I thought was a good audition or maybe not so happy with myself. But drinking was very normal to me. I was raised in a household. My mother drank every day. My grandfather drank every day. So it was hard for me to recognize what is normal drinking and what was not.
Going into an audition, and I have done my share of that, as you know, is one of the most difficult things a person can do. Mm-hmm. It just is. You don't know if you're right for the part. You don't know if you're going to get it. You don't know if your audition is good. And often you don't even hear back. You don't get any feedback. It's enough to make somebody drink, isn't it?
It's crazy. And, you know, you hear from the top actors out there. You go into the room, you do the audition, you walk out, and you forget about it. Well, I couldn't forget about it. And that was really hard. It was like a roller coaster ride that was like no other. That is for sure.
When your husband came to you and said, you know, I think you ought to get healthy, were there any signs that you were drinking too much to the outside world, to producers, to friends, not your immediate family?
Not so much. Not so much. I did have maybe some. The thing is about drinking is when you start drinking more, you start surrounding yourself with people that drink like you. And then you don't feel so bad about yourself. But I knew even for myself that it was getting to a point where it wasn't just for fun anymore. And I was questioning myself all the time. Am I an alcoholic? Is my drinking getting to a point where it's that slippery slope, right? But I always compared myself to my mom, which she was an alcoholic, and she just died actually in June from alcoholism. And I was never like her. So it was kind of like, you know what I mean? I watched how everyone else drank, and that was for many years. I watched how I drank. I thought it was too much, and I actually was seeking help privately in the bedroom at nighttime. But on the outside, I thought things looked pretty normal because I did try to keep it that way in the community because I was out in the community. So it was very important to me. And plus I had 2 children, and, it was just, I would have been distraught had people known what was really going on inside of my home.
Our engineer and producer and one of the nicest people in the world has been sober for over 30 years now.
33 this year, I believe.
Congratulations. Wow. I think that's terrific.
Yeah.
Daryl, did you have any similar experiences to what Marci said? I mean, I'm going to use the term functional alcoholic.
Well, I mean, the fact is that I was on the radio every day, and when I wasn't drunk, people wanted to know what was the matter with me. I mean, it was part of my persona. It was part of, what I had created on the air. And so I worked in an industry that allowed a lot of that to take place without any criticisms whatsoever. It's like we've got Tim Conway Jr. on the air here in Los Angeles on KFI, and there was a report about an arrest. They were found with opium and Quaaludes and speed, and he said we used to call that show prep, right?
Marci, you have a background in show business. You do a show now, Wake Up with Marci.
Yes, that's
when you
correct.
were with Fox and other media outlets, do you think that people knew, but that they just turned their head because it's just part of the industry?
Well, when I did work for Fox Cable Group, I did leave and became a full-time mom. But while I was there, it was very normal to go to liquid lunches. And I would go with my boss. So, yes, it was very normal.
I had a program director who would take me out to lunch twice a week. I started a show, Drive Time, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And we go out for a 90-minute lunch, and she would buy me a couple of drinks. And I had to stop after a while because my performance wasn't what I thought it should be because of my drinking. So I stopped. Now I do drink socially. I drink occasionally at home, but I don't think I have a problem. I can say I'm not going to drink today, and I don't, or a week, or whatever it might be. Our guest is really a hero. Her name is Marci Hopkins. She's the host and creator of Wake Up with Marci. It's a talk show of inspiration. We'll be talking more about that as we come back here on Late Night Health. Join us at latenighthealth.com. We'll have a pretty picture of Marci up there and a little story that she's written for us as well. Don't go away. The insane Daryl Wayne and I return as Late Night Health continues. Recently, I met Jacqueline from Bright here in Los Angeles. She gave me a hearing exam and then showed me how to hear again with the new Signia Pure Series hearing aids, and she can give you your life back too. I hear birds chirping, birds cooing, and even my wife. They easily connect to my smartphone. The Signia hearing aids are amazing, and with the charge and go, I don't have to fiddle with batteries and hear all day long. Not hearing is frustrating for you and your family. I know you don't have a problem, but trust me, call Bright Here now for a free hearing exam, a $125 value, yours free, just for making an appointment now. There are offices throughout the Los Angeles area. Call Bright Here now at 323-424-7100. That's 323-424-7100 for a free hearing exam. There's no obligation. Call now, 323-424-7100, or visit them on the web at brighthere.com. Late Night Health is proud of our partnership with the EBC, the Evolutionary Business Council. Check them out at ebcouncil.com.
You're listening to Late Night Health with Mark Alyn. The show continues in a moment. If you're listening to Late Night Health right now, you're part of the growing target of baby boomers we're serving. Hi, I'm Daryl Wayne, producer of Late Night Health, inviting you to join the Late Night Health family. If you have any business targeting the growing boomer market, Late Night Health is the ideal advertising vehicle for you. From vitamins to insurance, alternative health to Western-style medicine, Late Night Health caters to the growing population of those over 40 years old. This vibrant demographic has expendable income to fight aging, purchase travel, take care of aging parents, or just have fun. Find out about the advertising opportunities with Late Night Health. Call us at 805-391-0308. That's 805-391-0308, or email us at info@latenighthealth.com. That's info@latenighthealth.com. Join Late Night Health as we empower people to take charge of their own health care. Call now at 805-391-0308. That's 805-391-0308.
There's a lot of talk all over the internet about the remarkable benefits of Carbon-60, and baby boomers are especially excited about it. Greska's Carbon-60 is the premium Carbon-60, developed by an aerospace and NASA scientist. 95% of Greska's customers report positive results from this Nobel Prize-winning technology in just 4 days. Imagine more energy, better health, and more vitality. It's very bioavailable to quickly mend toxin-crippled cells. This is a super powerful antioxidant. Bob Greska is so confident that you'll love his Carbon-60, he wants to send you a bottle at 50% off the regular price. To see how life-changing this will be for you, call 720-600-6040. That's 720-600-6040. Visit c-60.com to learn more. Call 720-600-6040 now, or visit c-60.com.
Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Alyn, along with the insane Daryl Wayne. We're talking with Marci Hopkins, host and creator of Wake Up with Marci. It's a talk show of inspiration, and it can be seen throughout the, the New York area, Manhattan. Tell us where you broadcast, Marci.
It's in the tri-state area, so it is all of New York, all of New Jersey, and parts of Connecticut.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the show? What was your inspiration for creating a talk show of inspiration?
So once I chose to, sobriety, which was the best choice I've ever had in my life, I turned everything to God. And my God guided me to start a talk show called Coffee with Marci. And I was interviewing entrepreneurs and nonprofits in my community. And about a year into it, I was at a place where I was living my happiest life. And I just knew that I wanted to give that back to others. If I could do it, anyone could do it. And I just had the inspiration literally like in a day to do Wake Up with Marci. The name came to me. I had someone that I was working with, a producer, and literally 2 weeks later I launched Wake Up with Marci.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Divine inspiration?
I'm sorry?
Would that be divine inspiration?
Divine inspiration, yes. Absolutely.
Was becoming sober the hardest thing that you've ever done?
100%. But also the most rewarding.
How? How is it rewarding?
Well, because of many reasons. For me, when I decided to become sober and I admitted that I was an alcoholic, first of all, admitting that I was an alcoholic to my husband, it was like the weight of the world was lifted off my shoulders. I no longer had to live in this lie. And my husband embraced me. And it was the first time I really felt love. And I honestly, from that moment forward, I immersed myself into AA, and with that, I turned myself over to God. I have such a spiritual connection now, unlike anything that I've had. I always had the foundation because I was raised in church, but there is now the connection to God and divine and the other side, unlike I've ever had. And I also was able to heal myself. I got to know who I am. No matter how many years of therapy I was in, I never really healed. And what I was able to find out in those steps was my part in each relationship, the cycles that I had created, the negative cycles in my life, and I was able to break those. And once I broke those and was able to first love myself and then give love away and then also receive it, life just took another turn, one that I could never even imagine having. And every day, listen, I have my ups and downs, but for the most part, living in gratitude and joy is how I live my life today. And I didn't have that before. I lived in a victim role, in anger and in distress all the time.
What about your kids? How did they see the change, the transformation in Marci, in Mom?
Well, fortunately, my children were younger. So they knew Mom drank her wine at night, and they would see me have wine. But there were very few times, less than 5, that I could count that my children saw me at a place where they knew that Mom had had too much to drink. So fortunately, they weren't affected in that way. Now, I will say, though, they were affected by how Mom reacted to life, because that is very different today. I would live in, this place of always being upset and reacting, and today I pause and I have a very close relationship with my children. My children are now 15 and 17. So, I'm very fortunate that they didn't see or live like I lived with my alcoholic mother. And that was in fear constantly of what was going to happen to my mom. And I had to take on a role of being the mother. And they fortunately did not have to do that.
You mentioned that one of the hardest things you've done in your life was admitting to your husband that you're an alcoholic. But what about admitting it to yourself?
Well, that was the hardest part. First of all, to admit it to myself, to actually say the words. And the morning that it had been a day of drinking, I had gone on a modeling job, and the final straw was actually I got a DUI because I had to hit a rock bottom for for me to look at myself in that way. And that was my aha moment. The next day I woke up and I was like, I have a problem. I need help. Whereas I had never wanted to ask for help or wanted to even admit that I had a problem. And, you know, all of these negative, bad things that happened in my life, I wouldn't change them today, because that's why I am the person I am today, and have found this incredible person that I am today, that I was able to find that little girl that I lost so long ago, and now to be this thriving adult in an incredible relationship with myself and my family and my husband, and now trying to give that to others. And it's the best gift I've ever been given.
How many years were you abusing alcohol?
Well, off and on, I'd say. Probably even when I started. When I first found alcohol, when I was around 12 years old. I mean, I started writing a book. So I am now looking at all of the things that happened to me in my childhood. And I have these memories of, like, I'd have a stomach ache, and my mother would give me alcohol at like 7 years old. Here, drink some of this margarita because this helps when I have to go to the bathroom. Or I couldn't sleep because I was at her boyfriend's, and she would give me a sleeping pill. And I mean, we're talking like 8, 9 years old. So that I learned at such a very young age that you use alcohol or a drug. Thankfully, I did not have an addiction to drugs, but you use something to help yourself cope when things weren't going well.
Marci, we are so glad that you have found sobriety. We're very proud of you, because it's a hard thing for anybody to do. Daryl and I have talked about it for years now, off and on, and I know how difficult it is to stay on the wagon, if you will. If people would like to learn more about the show, what is your website?
My show is my website is wakeupwithmarci.com. And I just want to say that very quickly that Wake Up with Marci, wake up is wake up your subconscious. This is about people sharing their stories of hardships and triumphs. It's specialists that come on and educate us in many areas and, you know, provide resources so we can put our plans into action. It's not a heavy show in that you walk away crying. You walk away with hope. And that's the idea of it. We are all faced with some sort of hardship in this life. And it's how we deal with it. And there's so many stories out there of triumph, and they have turned a hardship around, a tragedy around, and they're helping others. And these are the stories that I want to highlight. And it's just so important right now that we know there's so much hope out there.
Marci, thank you very much for joining us. We are up against the clock, but we're going to have you back. And we'll talk about this again very soon. I'd love to have you back, okay?
Thank you so much for having me on.
Our pleasure. I'm Mark Alyn, along with the insane Daryl Wayne. More coming up. Don't go away.
Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Words are a critical aspect of success. How you get your point across is a crucial part of what makes anything sell. So do it right and hire a writer. Whether it's articles, blog posts, technical writings, website content, product descriptions, or ghostwriting anything from a novel to a nonfiction book about your navel, contact Servet Hassan. If you want it to sell, write it right. Email Servet at servet@servethassan.com.